Good afternoon, it is 1 o'clock and my name is Elize Hattin and I'm coming to you live from the Smart Hub for our normal Thursday afternoon Hub Lives. But something isn't quite right, which I'm sure you'll notice. I do not have a guest. I am on my own today, and the reason for that is the coronavirus, essentially. So I'm sure that we've all been impacted in one way or the other, and we're all looking to what to do and asking questions around business continuity, finances, how we're going to run our teams, maybe concerned about losing customers or clients or bookings. And that's really what I want to talk to you about today. So the coronavirus, the impact it is having and will continue to have on business. And then I also want to share with you what we're doing here at the Smart Hub moving forward and what you can expect from us in the next few weeks. Now, I think what's really interesting is that there is no end date to this thing right now, and it's a moving target, so things are constantly rapidly unfolding and changing, as you would know. But what I really am so grateful for is that the Australian government is so responsive and has taken such decisive leadership around this issue, and they're so responsive to our economy and to our business leaders. And what I want to share with you first is some of the economic measures that the government is putting in place to help us all out. So I am going to read from my document so that I get it all right, and there will be links in the comments if you want to access more information about what the government is offering for us as the business community to be able to weather this storm or take advantage of the opportunities that this change is creating. So I'm going to get to a section about that too. I want to talk about what happens when things change as they are right now. But first, let's look at what the government is offering to our business community to help us in this time. So the first thing is, I'm just going to read this to you, the first little bit. The Central Queensland business community is not yet experiencing the full impact of the global coronavirus pandemic. And that is correct. Just because we are not experiencing the full impact of this pandemic right now here in Central Queensland doesn't mean that you shouldn't be really preparing for it. So I spoke to Simon last week and we spoke about being prepared for things and how proper preparation helps you move forward in a more confident way and helps prevent things from going badly. So really what I would like you to do, number one thing to think about is, what is this likely to be? And what are all the different scenarios that you can face? So what's the worst case scenario, what's the best case scenario, and kind of what's the in-between scenario, and make plans for all of those. But here's how the government can help. Because once you've made those plans, you'll realize that there's potentially you need some assistance. So ahead of an unpredictable time, it is important to be aware of the support that's available. So here's what the Queensland government is offering. So if you're watching this Hub Live from outside of Queensland, I'm sure your state or territory will also be offering some support. But for Central Queensland, we're obviously part of Queensland, in Queensland, so anywhere in Queensland you can actually access this help. So the first one is the packages currently offered by the Queensland government currently include support for businesses in the following ways. There is payroll tax support. So from what I've seen, they've actually delayed the payment of payroll tax. And if you access the link that Jacinta will be posting in the comments, you can read more about what that means. Obviously, also be in contact with your accountant because they'll be leading you through what the implication of this is. But fortunately for us as a business community, the government is saying, look, it's very important that you support your employees and your workers and your team. And as a government, they're going to do everything they can to make that possible for us as a business community. So the second thing is targeted support for the hardest hit industries, which include tourism, hospitality, fisheries, and exporters. So there will be targeted support. If you are in one of these industries, again, access that link and have a look at what the government is offering to help you. And then the third way in which the Queensland government is helping is a $500 million loan facility to support businesses to retain employees and maintain operations. Hey Penny, thank you so much for joining us. I've no one on the couch with me today, and the reason for that is the coronavirus, and what we're talking about is exactly precisely that. So what can us as a business community do, and what support can we access through government to help us through this time? So the first heading, I suppose, for today's HubLive is what support is the government offering for us as a business community? And we've just spoken about the Queensland government support. So if you're in Queensland, go to the link in the comments and you can look at the website. So the last one is a $500 million loan facility. So what I've seen is the loans are up to $250,000 and they're interest-free for 12 months. And again, it's to retain employees and maintain operations. So it's a really great one to access. This information, as well as potential further support measures, will be updated regularly by the Queensland government. So please monitor that link that Jacinta's has posted. Keep an eye on it, and as I said, have open conversation with your accountant. Moving forward, cash flow and maintaining cash flow and protecting your cash is really, or not protecting, but being really wise around how you use cash and access cash is very important. So remember how I said you need to plan for all the different scenarios, best case scenario, worst case scenario, and something in between. In that plan, you need to include how is the cash component of your business going to work over the next 6 months. And then, so that's the Queensland government support. Then the Australian federal government also has obviously announced an economic response, including business investment support, assistance with cash flow for employers, a household stimulus payment, and targeted assistance for the most severely affected regions. And so to access more information about those 4 categories of financial support, again, we have to go to the Australian government's website. It's on the treasury.gov.au. And again, that link is in the comments. So this is a moving feast, so it's not set at any point in time. So the government will be updating their support measures and also probably making new announcements about how they're going to support the economy moving forward. So I don't know if you want to set a reminder maybe just to check those links on those websites maybe 2 or 3 times a week to see what you're eligible for. Think ahead, plan ahead, don't leave it until you have a problem to do something. Prepare so that you can prevent problems from occurring. And as Simon said yesterday, it's really important that we actually look after our teams. And the reason why that's important is because in 6 months' time, this will be over. And we're going to require our teams to get business back up as normal. So if we can hold on to our teams and support our teams and use this time to do some of the important but not urgent work, it's always a great thing. And then finally, if you have any questions in relation to the actual COVID-19 virus, including, what symptoms you should be looking for, what you should know whether you're in high risk or not, for you to access more information about that, we've got to go to the health website. So it's the Queensland government website has a health section, and that is posted in the links as well. So access more information about, the health side of things from that website. I know that there's also a link on the actual health website for the federal government, which gives you more information about what you can expect. Now, it's a bit tricky because I think we all get the majority, I'm making a huge generalization and assumption here, but a lot of people seem to be getting most of their information from Facebook. So what I would highly recommend, this is kind of ironic because this is a Facebook event, but what I would highly recommend is that you actually do visit the official government websites, because that's where you'll get the up-to-date information and the most relevant information. Hey Penny, if you have a question or you have maybe a suggestion of how you are dealing with the current situation, please pop it in the comments. I would love to have a go at answering questions, or if you have a comment, then I'll share it on the HubLive. Now, let's talk more broadly from a business perspective. What is happening with the coronavirus or COVID-19 and what it's causing in the world? So, in essence, there's a saying that goes, the only consistent thing in the world is change. And that is true, but anyone who's been around for a while or who likes to study life on a philosophical level will see that there are different speeds in which things change. Sometimes they change slowly and sometimes change happens really rapidly. What's also interesting, and which makes the whole change thing a little bit more complicated, is sometimes change is exponential, which means it looks like it's happening slowly, and then overnight there's a massive change, but really it's just been all the way in the coming, it's just been exponential. Now, this coronavirus pandemic that we're facing currently is clearly creating a massive change in the world. And whenever there's a change, two things happen. So imagine a picture where you see the word change, which is what the coronavirus is creating at the moment, massive change in the society, in our economy, in business, in how we live, in the short term, very short term, so change. And then based on this change, two things happen. Change always creates two things. Number one, it creates opportunity, and secondly, it creates problems. Now, as human beings, we are very good at seeing and responding to problems, because that's what we have to do. That's what we had to do to survive to this point. Again, that's why I said, do your planning so that we can prevent these problems from happening, or act on them quickly so that they don't become massive, big things for us. But really, we also need to train ourselves, and we need to challenge ourselves to look at the opportunity that this is creating. Now, I mentioned last week that Winston Churchill has this great saying, which is, never let a good crisis go to waste. So don't let this change and the problems go to waste, because it is creating an opportunity. And that opportunity is for innovation. And it's a twofold opportunity, I believe. Number one, actually threefold. Number one, it's an opportunity for innovation. So wherever there's a problem, there's a solution, and we can use these as opportunities to innovate. Hi, Paul. Hey, Lachlan. Thank you so much for joining me. I really love having people join me and say hi. If you could, if you have a question or a comment or anything that you'd like to share around the coronavirus, COVID-19, and the change that that's creating in the world, please hop on the comments and just type something up for me, and I'll do my very best to answer your questions, or if I can't, read your comments and so forth. So what I've just dealt with before, if you just joined us, was I shared a couple of resources, 3 resources in fact. One, assistance packages that the different levels of government is offering our business community. So if you look in the links below, or in the comments, you'll find links to the Queensland government's assistance packages, the federal government's assistance packages, and also where you can find more information around the health aspect of COVID-19 on the Queensland government health site, or the health section on their website. But now we're talking about change and how coronavirus is creating change. And then change creates 2 things, problems and opportunities. We've got to prepare to prevent the problems from happening, and we've got to notice the opportunities. So I've had several messages and several conversations with some of our members in the SmartHub, but also with my personal coaching clients around what is the opportunity that this presents. And sometimes we just need change to occur for us to make some of the plans that we had in the past real. So how can you use technology to serve your customers and your clients better? How can you deliver your services and your products more efficiently by using other methods other than this face-to-face contact that we are good at doing as human beings? And also, how can we continue to meet and connect with each other through the use of technology? And technology is really a great way to enable this virtual world or connection virtually in a world where we can't connect so closely in a physical space. which is what the government's essentially asking us to do. Just on a little bit of a sidebar, I saw a post that said something like, our grandfathers were asked to go to war and we're being asked to stay home and sit on the couch. You know, let's be real. Let's do what's right. Not that I think we're all going to go home and sit on the couch, but I do think that we need to be responsible in the way in which we act at this time so that we can slow down the spread of the virus and keep ourselves healthy. Okay, so what should we be thinking about as business owners? Number one, we should be thinking about the change and what does that mean for our businesses and for our families and for ourselves. Then we need to look at the problems, and I would be doing this on paper. I'll actually create a document and create a contingency plan and prepare for all the different scenarios, best, worst, and the middle case scenario. What are you going to do? And over the next while, you might have to enact all of those plans, but have plans, prepared plans. Access government assistance. If you can see yourself running into a challenge regarding cash flow, go and be proactive and access government assistance so that you know that you can prevent big problems from happening. Look after your team. Think carefully about whether you should have people working from home, whether you can physically separate them, about the cleaning of your environment, your office environment or your business, and the information that's around and the leadership that you are providing in helping people take this seriously so that we can all be safe and this thing can just pass as quickly as possible in the safest possible way. Okay, so that's that. Then the innovation, think of the opportunities and innovate. Use technology. Already last week we mentioned Zoom. Zoom rooms is a great way to connect if you want to virtually connect. And that's what we'll be doing here at the Smart Hub. The other thing that I want you to think about is the opportunity that this is creating for you to get the important work done that you've been putting off for such a long time, that you've wanted to do but not had the time to do. So make a list of that and get onto that important work. And the other thing that I want you to do is to think about the opportunity that you now have to really focus on your own health and keep yourself healthy by good nutrition, supplementation, water, maybe exercise. Keep yourself super, super healthy. Fresh air is a really, really good thing. Go for long walks outside. It's really good to keep yourself healthy. Obviously, on your own is better. And then the other thing is, how are you going to look after the people you love? And how are you going to look after yourself? And really have some contingency plans around that. I saw the Prime Minister say yesterday around shopping that the shops will remain open. I'm sure you already know this. The shops are open. The food will still be delivered. Do not panic buy. The Prime Minister called it un-Australian. And I would think that that's probably right. As Australians, we don't need to grab for ourselves. We know that there's enough to go around, and if everyone is responsible, which I want to truly believe what Australians are like, if we're all responsible and do the right thing, then everybody's going to be okay and we're all going to be able to look after ourselves. And finally, check in with your elderly neighbours and see if they need a hand or assistance. I myself have an elderly neighbour, and just checking in with them is a really, really good thing. Okay, so that's what we can do from a business perspective. So take your time and make a plan and write that plan out and obviously communicate it to your team and all work together to keep each other healthy, keep the environment healthy and slow down the spread. Now, what are we going to do here at the Smart Hub to help slow down the spread of coronavirus? So you would have seen, or you might not have seen yet, that the council put a media release on their website. Now, as you might or might not know, the Smart Hub is a Rockhampton Regional Council initiative, and so we do have to abide by the council rules. And I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs from this media release and then talk to you more specifically about what we at the Smart Hub will do moving forward and what you can expect and how we can potentially work together. So let's see. The Rockhampton Regional Council today announced public access to council offices, facilities, libraries and depots will be restricted from next week. The CEO, Evan Pardon, said the changes are in line with the Australian government's measures in order to slow the spread of coronavirus and will give the community another measure of protection, which is wonderful. This is exactly what we need. Right, so here's what the practical implications are. Starting at the beginning of the day on Monday, the 23rd of March, which is obviously this coming Monday, the public will no longer be able to access the Pulbin Theatre, Rockhampton Art Gallery, Heritage Village, Scotia Place, and offices at our depots in Rockhampton, Gracemere, and Mount Morgan. Very important. So you will no longer be able to access any of these facilities. Then on Thursday, the 26th of March, that restriction will then also apply to our customer service centres and libraries in Rockhampton, Mount Morgan, and Gracemere. In line with the federal government's advice, the childcare centre will remain open. But what isn't included, the word that isn't included on the 26th of March, that restriction will also apply to customer service centres, libraries in Rockhampton, Mount Morgan and Gracemere. That also applies to, obviously, that also applies to the SmartHub. Okay, so what does that mean? On Wednesday, the 25th of March, by close of business, we will be closing or restricting access to the SmartHub to our access card holders, members who are resident members in the SmartHub only. I don't think I said that very well. Let me say that again. So by the end of Wednesday, everyone's still allowed to come in, and we will have some events on next week, external booking events, as well as our own events. But after Wednesday, close of business on Wednesday, the only people who would be able to come into the SmartHub are our resident members. Now, I mean that pretty literally. So if you're a resident member, you can come in, but you cannot have any of your employees here. We'd ask you not to bring your family members along. Really restricted access to the SmartHub. So if you're a member here, please come on in and obviously maintain the 1.5 meter distancing from each other. If you're unwell in any way, please do not come to the SmartHub. But if you're well and you're a member and you have an access card, you're good to come. If you are interested in any of our services, or you want to chat to our team, or you want support around the coronavirus, or talk about anything in business, you can still contact us. You just can't come in and see us physically. So the way to contact us will still be through our SmartHub email address. Our team will take turns in working from the SmartHub and working from home, but essentially we are still available. So what else can you expect from us? Let me see. External bookings, no more external bookings until further notice. If you have an external booking from us, our team will contact you shortly and we'll try and reschedule your event. If your event isn't able to be rescheduled, then we'll refund your booking. HubLives. You'll be happy to know, I hope, that our HubLives will continue. We're working on technology solutions to still have guests. The reason I actually had a guest scheduled for today, but the reason why my guest isn't with me, but will be with me virtually next week, is because she had her own emergency coronavirus meeting to attend. So from next week, we'll be back with guests. If we can't make the technology work, you'll be stuck with me, and we'll keep them short and sweet. But I'm going to share very, very valuable information with you. So HubLives will continue. Lunch and Learn. We have a Lunch and Learn scheduled for next week, right, Jacinta? The week after. Jacinta will post the date in the links, and it's around team. And what we'll do is that event will go ahead, but it will go ahead virtually. And so you can stay home and still feel part of this amazing community and still get all the information you need and still have the opportunity to interact with us and ask questions through the Lunch and Learn. You'll still have the opportunity to register for it. Now, as you also know, we live stream all of our events so that we can make the information available publicly. So we'll just we'll record the Lunch and Learn. It won't be live on Facebook, but we will post the event to Facebook after if we can't figure out a way to make it live. But it will be available on Facebook. So that's the Lunch and Learns. So we've come up, you know how I said we're looking for innovative solutions. So we're going to trial something called virtual co-working, and I invite everyone to take part of this virtual co-working. So what we'll do is we'll have Zoom check-ins set up where you can come into a Zoom room or into a Zoom meeting and check in and say hi, just like you would if you were to go to work, and you could say hi to people and you could have a chat, or you could just continue to work on. So we're working remotely and independently, but we're all going to be working together via Zoom. So we will be posting a lot about that on our Facebook page. So please jump in and be part of our Zoom virtual working. If you have any suggestions around that, please let us know too. So Paul, let me read Paul's. Thank you so much for your comment. I'm going to read that now. Don't forget, Jasari helps small businesses get the remote advice they need without having to catch up face to face. So you're so right, Paul. Paul is one of our Turbo Traction Lab members, and his startup is called Jasari, and it is a platform where small businesses can access advisory board kind of information. I hope I'm getting that right, Paul. If that's not quite right, please correct me. So please, Paul, please post the link to your platform in the comments. And if anyone wants to access specific information or advice, they can definitely jump onto Jasari. I highly recommend that you check it out. Not just now, and while the coronavirus is ongoing, but at any time where you need advice for your small business. We know that advisors are an incredibly important part of any small business's team. So that's an easy way to access really great expertise and advice. So, as I mentioned before, the council in general will also be shutting down and slowing down. However, there will still be access to council. So I'll just read to you a little bit about how you can access the customer service. So we appreciate, Mayor Margaret Strelo said the council doesn't take the step lightly, that we're shutting things down or restricting access to them. We're not shutting anything down, we're restricting access, really. But commented that the CEO, Evan Pardon, for taking action is in the best interest of the community. So that's what we're doing, really. We are trying to protect all of our community and our health system, and that's what's really important. Oh, thank you so much for joining us, Peter, Matthew Doyle, Matthew Lawson. Thank you so much. Great for you to have you on HubLive. We will continue to have these HubLives. So if you have any suggestions of topics that you think are very important for us to cover right now, please hop on the comments or private message us. So what we've chatted about so far, if you've missed the start, is number one, what government assistance is around. There really are federal government assistance as well as Queensland government assistance. And I highly recommend that you access those links in the comments and you bookmark them and you schedule a little just checking in with these websites to see the updated information maybe twice or so a week. The second thing that we spoke about is whenever there's change, and clearly the coronavirus COVID-19 is creating massive change, global change. Whenever there's change, two things happen. It creates problems, and it creates opportunity. So as human beings, we're probably very good at spotting the problems, and we need to prepare, we need to make plans. So really just a bit of scenario planning, best case scenario, worst case scenario, and in the middle, and act proactively. Don't wait until the problem becomes a massive problem. Really, we're trying to hold on to our customers and onto our teams, because when this whole thing is over, we're going to need both of those sets of people to bring things back to normal. And again, access those links via the websites to see how the government can support and assist you. But then there's also the other side. It creates massive opportunity. And the opportunity is opportunity to innovate, opportunity to connect with our customers and our teams differently, opportunity to be more effective and efficient through the use of technology, opportunity to get around to some of those jobs. And I know that at the SmartHub, we have a list of those jobs, of things that are so important to do, but the day-to-day always prevents us from getting that done. So we'll definitely be getting onto those lists of jobs, and I'm sure that you have such a list in your business as well. So get on and see if things are a little bit quieter, if there's less actual work to do. Not that I think that'll be necessarily the case for the two Matthews, but if your business is a little bit quieter, you can get some of those more important jobs to do. Then there's an opportunity to focus on your health and to try and stay healthy as much as possible. There's an opportunity to connect with the people that matter most, which is your family, and also an opportunity to connect with your neighbors if you have elderly neighbors in particular. So really think through what the opportunities are over the next couple of weeks and take advantage of the change that is being created right now. And then we spoke about, what's the council doing and the SmartHub specifically. So no, we are restricting access to the SmartHub from essentially will take hold on Wednesday morning. The only people who will be able to access the SmartHub or have access to the SmartHub are our resident members. So if you have a swipe card, you're right to access the SmartHub, but we do ask that you do not bring your customers here and essentially just you come on your own, and only if you are well. So if you are not well, please don't come into the SmartHub, please stay home. It's really important that we keep the building as healthy as possible. Yes, and then there's obviously a wider range of closures across council. And so Jacinta will probably post the link, it's already posted the link to this media release where you can really see everything that the council is doing to remain open for business, but without having that physical access to any of the services or of the actual spaces that we usually interact with. So if we have no other questions, I think that brings us to the end of, hey Bronwyn, thank you so much for joining us. You're just in time to hear me say goodbye. I think next week we'll be talking to a guest. I'm even hesitant to say who it is because that might change depending on how the world changes. But we do have a really, really great lineup of guests over the next few weeks. Our HubLives will continue. Our Lunch and Learns will continue. The team will still be working. You can access us through the SmartHub email address, which will be posted in the comments. And you can call us and we can talk to you. Also, I'll be checking in with our members to see how you're all going. So if we have meetings scheduled, those will go ahead. We'll just be using Zoom, and I might be home or I might be at the SmartHub. We'll be on a bit of a roster to actually be working from the SmartHub. So before I go, don't touch your face, wash your hands, good nutrition, go for walks outside, fresh air, keep your social distancing, and just look after each other as much as we can over the next little while. I think what makes me the happiest is to see how, as human beings, we have the capacity to get through things, difficult things. And sometimes it's called resilience. And I think in Queensland specifically, maybe Australia in general, but in Queensland specifically, we're pretty good at being resilient. And we're also good at looking after our community. And so that's really what I'm looking forward to seeing over the next weeks or months as this unfolds and changes, for us to look after our business community, ourselves, our families. And also at the end of this, because there will be an end, and when there is an end, we'll all want to get back to normal as quickly as possible. At the end of this, hopefully we'll have all the pieces together to be able to ramp up operations and be back stronger and better than ever before. So please join us again, or join me again with my guest next Monday at next Thursday at 1 o'clock for HubLive. Have a good weekend. Bye.